Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear. I've got another first impressions video for you from the knives that I just unboxed today. This one is the CJRB Talla. I haven't done anything to this knife. It literally just came out of the packaging, and just wanted to go over what my first impressions of the knife are. And frankly, I'm pretty impressed. This is another budget piece that I just picked up kind of out of curiosity. I wanted to see how it was. I have never experienced a CJRB knife in hand until now, so I wanted to see what kind of the hype was all about, why there's been some hubbub that I've seen recently online about them, and I feel like on first impressions at least, I kind of get it. This is an awesome budget option. Civivi has kind of taken the world by storm with their budget options lately, so it's cool to see another player coming out with a compelling offering, something that I wouldn't, yeah, at this point, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend this knife. We'll see how it tests, obviously, but if it does as well as I think it will, this would be a knife that I'd recommend to those budget buyers who are looking for something cool that they can actually use in like the sub $50 price range. This G10 is probably my favorite thing about this knife. At least I'm pretty sure it's G10. Yeah, it appears to be as I'm looking at the grain on everything. The way that they've milled this, these ridges are like almost sharp. I think if they were deeper, they would be, but they're just not deep enough to actually like really catch on anything. It's super interesting. And the fact that they've done it to every bit of this knife, I really like. They provide a really cool type of traction that's different from the typical like checkered, super fine, like gritty G10, because in certain directions it feels totally smooth, but then you go the wrong way on it and it really catches. So in hand, it's not uncomfortable, but I can feel those ridges and they feel like they're just kind of locking my hand into position. I like it. I think it's cool. I also think it looks great. I think it's a handsome way to finish G10 so that it kind of breaks up the light. It gives it this cool texture and it adds a certain level of depth to it. The hardware is all fine. You've got what appears to be stainless hardware all over the knife. I will say that these little guys are smaller than I would love to see, but at this price point, you can't really complain about hardware all that much. Yeah, the contouring of these scales is really nice. I don't know if I mentioned that. I love that they're kind of rounded in this way. I love it when knife companies do that to their scales. I don't know why there's a hole in the flipper tab, but it doesn't bother me. I've seen some people comment on that online, like what could possibly be the purpose for that, and I don't think there is one. I think it's just a design choice, but I think it works. This blade shape, I think is really cool, and I imagine is going to be super useful. It's actually pretty thin behind the edge. It feels like it's going to be a good slicer. We'll let slicing with it be the real test of that. But it's a cool profile. I like how tall the grind comes, and then I like that you've got this kind of warny tip on it. I think it's not only does it look good, it's kind of like a sax blade shape, but I think this tip is going to be great for getting into materials and kind of piercing to start cuts. I think it's going to work very well. This did come exceptionally sharp out of the box. I'm impressed with how sharp this knife is right out of the packaging. I'm going to be testing it obviously on its factory edge here coming up, so it's good to see that it's got a good one. The blade finish looks nice. It's kind of this stone wash. I like it when people do stone wash without acid washing first. I'm frankly not a huge fan of acid stone wash. I've acid etched blades at home before. I think on certain knives it can look kind of cool, but for a little while there I feel like it was kind of being overly done. And I like stone washing, but I like it when it's kind of satin underneath and you still get some shine out of the blade. Yeah, I think that looks good. I will say it feels about as heavy as I was expecting it to. I was not expecting this knife to be light, just looking at the specs and the pictures online, and I mean, it's solid liners in there. There's no milling internally, but this is a budget piece, so I feel like obviously Artisan, or CJRB, excuse me, is probably just making this knife as inexpensively as they can so they can still make a margin on it. But the cool things about it are that it's still a design I really like, and they didn't slouch on certain things like the action. This action is awesome. I'm really impressed for the money with how good of a flipper this is. I noticed as I was unboxing it, I was talking about how I thought this could be a cool thing to mod a hole onto for Spidey flicking. And even without the hole, the detent isn't super strong. It's obviously strong enough to get a good deployment, but I can even just kind of press up against here and middle finger flip that out, which is funny. But yeah, the pocket clip is good. I don't think it's the most attractive looking pocket clip that there has ever been, but it doesn't bother me either. And I like that the deep carry fold over style does get it all the way up here to the butt of the knife. It looks like there's going to be plenty of clearance under there. It's got good springiness. Yeah, first impressions are really strong on this CJRB. I'm glad that I'm trying one out. I'll probably get a Civivi soon, and if this is still around, which I can't imagine it won't be, then I may do kind of a comparison on my perception of the quality between the two. But yeah, I think this knife looks really good. The construction seems very solid. The G10 feels like a home run, in my opinion. I think this is the only model that they're doing that type of G10 work on. I think they should do that to more of them after having this in hand. This feels really cool to me, and it looks nice. It looks different. I really like that. I'm a fan of OD green, as you can probably tell. I wear a lot of OD green, and so I think this knife stylistically is going to do well for me. I've already been thinking before it arrived of some potential things I could do to it if I like it. So I don't have the capability, at least at the moment, to drill a Spidey hole into it, but some things I could do is to potentially color the hardware. I could just heat anodize it like a bronze color, which I think always looks great. With the green, I could dye these scales another color, but I like that they're OD, so we'll see. I may think of some things that would be fun to do to this knife after I've tested on it and used it and kind of get bored of it, to spice it back up a little bit. I've actually got some material coming. Maybe I could even try making a scale for it. We'll see. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but first impressions on the CJRB Talla are really good. Blade shape is cool. The grind seems great. The edge that came on it is fantastic. The action works really well. The G10 I think is a home run. The lockup is solid. I guess I didn't spine whack it, but now I have, and it locks up fine. Lock doesn't stick. It's not over traveling. It's not doing anything. I really like this. Deep carry clip works for me. It's D2, G10 for under 50 bucks. I feel like this is a really compelling option at that price point, and I can see why a lot of people are jumping on the CJRB train. I may be getting some more of them soon to keep figuring out which of their models I like the best, and yeah, make sure they're all consistent and doing well. But this is a great first one to get, so I'm really happy with it. And I'll update you guys as I do some more testing and have an actual review after some use.